So from the standpoint of having the arm on there, you want to make sure the elbow dart's at the back. If you don't have an arm, just again, after you do this drape, put your hand like a fist under there to make sure you have enough room for the shoulder, okay? Then on your muslin drape, I'm lining up this long grain line with my shoulder. Make sure you leave enough so that you can get underneath here to get the whole armhole. You don't want to go too shallow because then you'll be short under here, okay? So leave yourself enough and pin that first pin for your arm, okay? Then I'm going to let this fall in and just kind of let this drape down toward the body and secure a pin, a temporary hold, and then do the same thing on the back. Okay, now the important part of this sleeve here with these guidelines is that when you pin this to the back of the sleeve, you want to pin right at the same cross grain. Okay, so if it's higher or lower, adjust it so that you're keeping that grain line straight. And again, a temporary pin. Here at the elbow, it's still going to be a little bit tighter. And again, I've got the arm in there, so if I want it to go a little tighter, I can bring that a little tighter, but leaving this loose. Now this is where my my wrist would be. So as far as draping this wrist, I would bring a little bit more of the back up and a little less of the front. Again, keeping those cross grain lines together, okay? So it's going wider again. I'm going to give it a little bit more. Okay, then I'm going to kind of pick this up a little bit and decide how much of this do I want. Now, if I put a cuff right here on the sleeve, it's not going to have as much blousiness. If I let it fall down a little longer, the cuff is going to push it up and it's going to blouse more. So I'm going to have mine end, you know, a little bit more to the back, and I'm going to have mine end about an inch below where this sleeve is. So what did I say, 24 for you guys for a sleeve length? I would say end it at about 26 to make sure you have enough blouse. Okay, and then this ultimately will be cut away to a seam allowance. It's not perfect yet. I'm going to go back a little bit later and perfect it. But now I can do my armhole. So let's get rid of some of this extra fabric. So what you're going to do with the, if your tape is still on there, you can use that. If it's not, and the book has it like this where they pinned it to the line you've drawn. So no matter what you do, don't remove anything without drawing the lines. So I'm going to pin this armhole shape to the sleeve. And also under here. Now the underneath part, I'm going to have to do flat pattern because I can't really get in there that perfectly. Okay, so up here, I'm going to pin this to the line that I've drawn. There's a little bit of ease in the cap, 1/2 inch is recommended. So a little extra on the top. And then fold this again to the armhole that I've already drawn. And you still have your shoulder pads in there, right? That'll help too. Okay. So basically, that's what I'm looking for. I want to make sure that this line is coming along the side of the arm. This line is perpendicular. And let me raise this up because it's not, I don't know if you guys can see it on the overhead. I'm sure Leslie's got it on the video, but.
And I'm probably in the way of most of them.
No, you're fine. But here it's, you know, hanging down about an inch below where the sleeve ended. So when it comes time to get this part of the underarm, I'm gonna get this as close as I can with my lines, but then mark the edge of where you folded these pins with your pencil, lay it flat, and then lay your original sleeve on top of that you did for the basic bodice, just to make sure you're close. It's gonna be a bigger armhole because we dropped it quite a bit, so it's not gonna line up exactly the same, but it's gonna give you the similar shape at the top, okay? So you'll know you're in the right direction. If you come out with something that looks like a triangle or a square, you gotta fix it, all right? Regarding the back here, when you've slashed into that waist enough, your bias ends up being right on center back, okay? Your straight grain was here. Some of you may have draped the whole thing bias. If you did, that's okay. It gives you a little bit more fluidness. This was per the instructions of the text. So for your muslin, once you get this out, make sure all the lines are drawn. Transfer it to your pattern paper. I'm gonna do it and put up copies so you can see what it looks like. And then if it's, and then sew your muslin. So don't try and make anything until you sew your half muslin, okay? For the sake of this back collar, if you have a high stand, that's fine. If you wanna put the tucks in it, if you're working with a lightweight georgette or a real super drapey fabric, I would recommend putting the tucks because your collar will not stand. And you don't want to put fusing in this. This is not a fused collar. This is a bias draped collar, okay? So we want to keep this soft and fluid. And any questions on this right now? I'm going to clean up this part, but you get the idea? Okay, so I'm going to let you guys work.